Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Drama is Life, where we discuss mental and social topics in the past, present, and future tense with the purpose of increasing awareness and decreasing the stigma of mental health, particularly among the African American and faith based communities. But feel free to engage with us on tonight as we discuss this topic. If you are part of any community, we would love to hear from you. So, you guys know that this month is August, and we have been on our awareness months. So August is, hopefully since you may have watched in the last couple of weeks, hopefully. But even if this is your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. I will be talking to you tonight from the standpoint of being a national, or this being National Black Business Month, the month of August. We only have a couple of more weeks, so we want to have some good conversation, and I want to definitely hear some feedback. So, for those of you who do not know me, I am Theresa White. I'm CEO and founder of In Time Creative Counseling Services, and I am a Black owned business here located in Terre Haute, Indiana, woman owned as well. Of course, I'm a woman, and I'm very proud of that and very honored to be able to serve the Wabash Valley. Not just serving Terre Haute, I serve the entire state of Indiana. So if you are looking for services and you hear our live tonight or any other live that we have, and you are interested in pursuing counseling, please reach out to us during our office hours. We'll be happy to walk you through what using the embodied creative arts and drama therapy looks like for you. So, tonight, I want to start off with a couple of questions. So, excuse me, been drinking this lemonade, you all, but I'm going back to water. So if you are cooking dinner or if you're watching TV or you're just kind of mindlessly scrolling and came across this video, I believe you need to be here tonight for the purpose that your input, your information, and even your presence of listening on tonight is going to support and benefit other Black owned businesses. So tonight, I want to have a conversation about the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the messages that we hear regarding Black owned businesses, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, and just also knowledge about Black owned businesses. So, tonight, my first question to you is do you, or can you, not necessarily do you, but can you name 5 Black owned businesses? And as you probably are thinking and you're going down the line, and you know how we did in school, we started counting, right? Can you name 5? Do you know at least one Black owned business that has grossed or net over $1 million in sales in a year? And I know you're probably taking a little bit longer to think about that one. Maybe not. Maybe some of you do know. And again, as I ask these questions, feel free to put that information in the comments. And I say that because, as we talked about last week, for those who may not know, this is again ways that we support. We bring support and awareness. That's the entire point. One of the main points of the live that we do every week is to bring awareness. And this month is to bring awareness to other Black owned businesses. So if you know some, the same way we did in our Women's Month, History Month, and celebrating the women that are making a positive impact in our community. And then we did Black men in June when it was Men's Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. This month, I want to bring light to some great Black owned businesses that are in the area. So if you can name 5, put those in the comments. Even if you can name 1 or 2, I want to know what those businesses are. And I want them to be tagged so that they can know that we are celebrating them. We are wanting to give support so other people can know about them. If you have a comment, hopefully, positive comments are about the businesses. That you can put those in the comments as well. So, those are the first 2 questions. Next one is can you name 5? This is where we really get people can name 5, but can you name 5 that you support on a regular basis? Now, I say that because Those were questions that I had to ask myself. Of course, I can name myself. I have a couple of friends, and I'm like, okay, got them, three, four, yep, five. I can name five. And all five of them have been people that I know personally. And I say that because again, that should be quick. One of the things that I do in one of my sessions when we do like social skills groups, or I'm working with anyone that has ADHD or trouble with concentrating or being, impulsive, right? Or needs some focus activities. We play, remember the ABC game? I don't know if it's really called ABC, but hot potato, however you named it. Well, we begin to name off different topics, boys' names, and then you just go, right? We can name off foods. You just go. And so that was a really good, and it still is, of course, I still use it. It's a really good way to get the brain firing. And generally, people just started naming what they knew off the top of their head, which is, simple like McDonald's and different things like that, right? Foods, hamburgers, hot dogs. What is a common food that you may see a lot of in the area or in your life? What I had to come to the realization recently is that it's not as easy if I was to use the topic, especially when I'm doing like my BIPOC groups, that when I say name a Black owned business, there may be one or two that can, I mean, immediately they can say, okay, here's the two or three. But the more the number goes up, name five. Can you name 10? Then it starts to dwindle. And I had to realize that that wasn't easy for me. It was not easy for me to just rattle off quickly, like quick, as the game goes with, hot potato spitfire, right? Like I could just name them. I had to really think for a minute, which also says that's not a good thing because we, this month, and again, not just a month, I definitely want it to be a year thing, a year round thing, every day, every month, every moment that we can, that we're supporting our Black owned businesses. Now, I say that because the last one is I say, can you name five that you support on a consistent and regular basis? Are those local to your city? So, all those questions, think about even if you can name national Black owned businesses, right? When we get down to it, can you name the ones in your city, in your area? And again, as the list went down, even for myself, as I look at the list and I'm like, I can name five, right? And I got my five and I can name five. And then I'm like, okay, I can name one. I can name more than one that has grossed, that I know personally, that has grossed over more than $1 million in a year. Can I name five that I support on a consistent, regular basis? That one, to be transparent, was more like, do I support them on a consistent basis? And when I say consistent, I mean like this ain't just like once every 10 years or, once a year. Like I'm consistently, maybe, if I need food, they are one of the people in my list. If they are a restaurant, if I need clothing, they're one of the people that pop up in my mind. If I need to go buy something, if I need something made, I don't go to the big 500 Fortune 500 companies. I go to my local small businesses, the Black owned businesses, and I think about even with local businesses, period. We know that we have heard in the economy for the last few years how important, and I've said it even on our last podcast, how important supporting your local businesses are because they keep the economy running. They keep it employment. So we talked about the benefits last week when we talked about, do you support or should you support Black owned businesses? So if you were not convinced last podcast, hopefully tonight will. So as you answer those questions and you put them in the comments, hopefully you are mentioning a lot of people coming in the comments, and I'm trying to see, and I'm definitely going to be coming back to look at those, and of course, please, tag people that are Black owned businesses so that I can also know. Because when I thought about the list, I thought I love to support Black owned businesses. absolutely would love to support any small businesses in my community, but particularly Black-owned businesses, because I know how um, small in percentage we are when it comes to the national average of business owners. And so I thought about it, and as I looked down these questions, and I'm like, in my local city, do I support at least five? I could not answer that. I could not say yes on a consistent basis that I support five Black-owned businesses. Now, I could say that I support, a lot of BIPOC, you know, professionals and colleagues and etc. But business owners, my first thing was, do I know that many here? And I say that because it's really important, because when we're doing our Google searches, when we're looking for things in the community or in our area where we're like, okay, I'm looking for A, B, and C, I have personally heard, and I've been here for going almost 4 years. I've been here for 3 years, my own practice for 3 years. I've been a therapist for 14. But there are people that still like, oh, I didn't know you were here. And yes, we do marketing things just like any other business. And there's times that, of course, you miss people, or, just the information kind of bypasses you. You're like, oh, I didn't know about that. That happens in every community. But it also makes me say, okay, how can we do better with getting our name out there, with bringing that awareness? And so that's why I think it's really important for you, as you are putting them names in there. Thank you so much for you guys adding those businesses and recognizing them. They're going to appreciate it as well, to see that they were tagged and something positive to say they are a great Black-owned business, and we want to be able to support, and we want to increase our list, of the Black-owned businesses in our area. And I know companies like the Minority Health Coalition generally has like a list, but again, a lot of places, even when they look at you're like, you don't have everybody. It's because people don't know everybody. So if we can come together, and again, with our list, and we can add to people, let people know that we want them to be in a directory. We want people to be able to look and pull their name up immediately when their products come up or their services come up, because we want to be a support to those in our community, and even those who, especially for those in our community, but those who are outside as our community as well. So again, as you're putting those in there and we're having this conversation, I want to also know, as we said in the beginning, that I want to have a discussion over what are some of the comments, information that you have been given regarding Black-owned businesses. Now, this one, I'm going to tell you a couple of negative ones that I've heard. And I'm saying this as a child growing up. People may not have meant any harm, or maybe they did. But I would hear, people around when we talk about different businesses in the area that I, grew up in. Oh, I wouldn't shop there. You know, you don't know. And they would start talking about their character. Well, I know that they do A, B, and C, or I don't know if that's really a good business. If they really, if they're legal or not. So there was questions about their legitimacy. And I say that's negative and sad because, especially as African Americans, we already, for any for professional African Americans, when we are coming into any profession, any career, that we, let me turn, sorry, I got my heater on, y'all. Guess I get cold sometimes. But we already feel like we have to prove legitimacy. Of course, as a business owner, you want to make sure that you know that you're, to our community, that we're giving quality services, that we're doing what we need to be doing to make sure that we're treating our consumers appropriately. But a lot of times we're going above and beyond to prove our legitimacy, our education, and other than where other ethnicities and races don't do that, or don't feel like they have to do that. And I'm not saying everybody, and that's kind of a general statement, but some people don't feel like they have to do that. Some people are not even qualified, and have the confidence, and not even as have the education that a lot of the Black business owners have. But I thought about that even as I was growing up. I was like, what have I heard about Black businesses or Black owned businesses? A lot of it has not been positive. And that breaks my heart. That's sad to say that a lot of the information that I've heard about is that people ask for discounts. And then if you don't give them a discount, then they talk bad about the business owner. Um, I've heard that happen, not only with people that I know personally, but just in general, other business owners talking about their experiences. And again, just people are not supporting, and people will say, well, I don't know them. I'm not going to support them. And of course, at first that sounds like, got you. I understand. You don't know them. You want to do your due diligence, research, and etc. I said, but at one point in time, people didn't know McDonald's. At one point in time, people didn't know Wendy's. People didn't know Nike. People didn't know Jordan. At one point in time, people did not know a lot of these bigger businesses, corporations that are now being sustained by the support of the consumers. So, again, as you're kind of giving some information on what you've heard about Black owned businesses, and again, give me a like, share, if you have heard these similar things as well. Let me know in the comments if you have heard similar information. Before I even got this business, I have my own theater company, and I still do. And for those who are in the area who maybe have seen a play before, I have had people give me advice, mentors that I've had down through the years that would say, look out for the minority communities or BIPOC community because they're going to be the main one that's going to want you to give them a discount. And for a minute, I was like, why is that? Again, the stigma. Why is that the information that you get as a Black business owner or somebody who's trying to be successful? Now, don't get me wrong, we understand that, hopefully, that even if you're a small business, business is business. I mean, you have a business for a reason. You're trying to pay expenses, you had employees, if you are working with somebody. Yeah, people was like, people don't care about that. They want a discount because they know you or they're going to ask for, whatever. For a while, I thought about that and I said, well, that's not really a positive view on our community as a whole, that we are trying to shortchange people. I'm like, I don't think everybody's like that. People, plenty of people who will pay for a service. And people, again, you buy Nikes, you buy, people buy expensive cars, people get expensive houses in the minority or in the BIPOC community. I don't like the word minority. In the BIPOC community. So that was a question for me. And again, that was several years ago. But again, these are the things that I've heard, right? But as I said in our last podcast, now that I'm a business owner, and I know many other Black-owned business owners because I've connected myself to people on purpose for collaboration, for support, just for community. But I've also known that we are out here really putting in work. And I say work to give quality services, work that a lot of times you're not getting paid for, not even for your own pocketbook or yourself. You're just putting it into the business so that it can be built because we want sustainability. And a lot of these business owners that I know have put their own money, their own blood, sweat, and tears, as people would say, into these businesses. And it breaks my heart that they have put this much into their business, their family, or trying to build some wealth for their family, their community, to be said so negative about. I don't know how necessarily to word that any differently, but to have these negative statements about the people don't even know them, but again, the stigma, the the judgment that we don't like as people in general. I don't want anyone to look at me and assume things about me without even knowing me, right? Oh, she's a woman, so this means A, B, and C. Oh, she's African American, so that means A, B, and C. And you haven't said hello to me, you've never had a conversation with me. That feels very unjustified. But that's what's happening in the Black business world as well. That people have no idea who these Black business owners are. And sometimes, I mean, of course, you want to do your due diligence again and do your research, but are already, nope, not doing that. So that's why I want to just give these few. I want to ask you as well, as those who are, as you're adding businesses and you're answering the questions. I also want to ask you, and then you may see that also on my page as well, that I asked the question for a poll, and I definitely want some feedback. So please answer. That's not on this post; it's on the post above. That says, what influences you to purchase a product or service from a new business or a business that you have not previously supported in the past? And I've heard a few different things. I'm gonna tell you a couple of responses that I've gotten from a few people. For myself, I visual aids. I'm a visual buyer, which I have to catch myself with that, especially when it comes to around the holidays. Sometimes I had to learn that, everything you see, you can't have. And I learned that from my parents, of course, and family members as well. Like, you can't have everything you see, but that doesn't mean you don't want it, right? It looks pretty, it's flashy, it's shiny. I'm like, oh, that looks nice. I would like that. So I'm a visual buyer. I get that. And so that means I also have to watch that because we all know that online, you could be scrolling, trying to find something, reading the email, boop, they're going to ad, right? And you may kind of glance at it and exit it out or whatever you do with your ads. But I'm someone that, again, the ads keep popping up. They keep, the same ad. Don't even know how they even got on my feed. Don't even know what this company is. But after they've been there for a certain amount of time, I may read a little bit, right? And so, and again, your buy-in experience or influence may be different. When you go into the stores, and this is one that has been researched that I thought was really funny because I have to admit that to myself, especially a clothing store. I'm going in. I really am, y'all. I'm telling you, I sit in the car, even give myself a pep talk. Does anybody else do that before you go into a grocery store, a clothing store? Maybe that means you got a problem. Like me, I don't know. Maybe me, I got a problem. But I give myself a pep talk and I say, I'm only going in here to get some socks. I'm only going in this grocery store to get me some eggs and some sugar. Don't start buying up chips. And I tell myself, don't buy chips, Theresa. You don't need chips. Don't go down the candy aisle. And I'm just saying all these things to myself. But then you walk in the store. And again, if you're a visual buyer like myself, you may be influenced by what you see, by colors, bright colors, or visually, if it's in your view where you place it, what aisle you go down. You're like, oh, I didn't realize I sure do need some more coffee. Or I sure, and you just start picking stuff up, right? And they call this mindlessly shopping, but it's not for the marketers because they purposely place things in your visual view so that you would buy them. And I say that because ads are the same way. So I know that ads pop up so I can see them. And so for people like me who's a visual buyer, I have to be really careful that I'm not constantly engaged in ads. Sometimes, depends on your mood. So as I say before, do not go to, first of all, for those who love to, like they say, emotionally shop, that's the whole thing. But anyway, but those who like shop when they're either stressed or depressed or feeling down and want to feel good and you have a few $100 in your pocket or whatever, right? And then you go to the store. That may not be the best time to shop. And I know that there are people that's their thing. They call it, what is it's a word for it, a term for it. I won't say marketing therapy, but that's not the word. And maybe I can put it in the comments. I know it's retail therapy. There it goes, retail therapy. So, it's a real thing for people to really go and they feel better after they do it. And I say that because the mood depends on what you buy. If I go to a grocery store and I'm hungry, I'm not just coming out with sugar and eggs. I'm going down the chip aisle. I'm gonna pick up all the things that I think I need. I'm gonna eat that. I'm gonna eat that. Then it sits in your cabinet. You have to throw it away, give it away, cook it away to all kind of whatever, right? Because you overindulge because your eyes, as they say, was bigger than your stomach. Or again, because your mood, you were hungry, you were on empty. So you just pull things and you fill it up. And anyway, that's a different life for a different time. But I'm just saying there's a method to what influences us to buy. So the question and all that being said is so that I can ask, what influences you to purchase, and particularly from a Black-owned business, and maybe that you don't know, what would make you say, I'm gonna go support that new hair place, or it's a new barber down the street. I may not know them personally, but I'm gonna go support them. Or do you do that, or do you say, hey, so and so, there's this new barbershop down the street, and I was thinking, do you know him? that's not a problem. I'm not saying it is, but again, in our community, I wonder if that's how we are influenced to buy. You may hear about it, you may see it in the ads, you may, kind of walk down the aisle and see it there. But if it's not familiar, as we learned in as a child, stranger danger, right? If it's not familiar, do we think stranger danger about some of the new Black owned businesses in our areas? And do we start calling and seeing, do you know them? As my title for today, do you know the man? Do you know the man, right? Do you know the business? Do you know? Until you find somebody that knows them. And then, again, whatever their narrative is about this business, do you adopt to yourself without even engaging? And I say that because I've heard people say also, when it comes to just business in general, not necessarily Black owned, but I think this definitely happens with Black owned businesses, that people will say things like, you got one chance to mess up. Or they had an attitude that day. And I say, I get that, right? Like you don't want nobody to treat you wrong and, be nasty to you or be rude. But as I said last week, if McDonald's staff was nasty or rude, I did not slight to McDonald's, I'm just using them because they're a bigger corporation, or Nike, right? The shoe didn't really go. The Nike representative or the Foot Locker or wherever you bought it from didn't really have a good attitude. Does that mean you're not going to buy the shoe? Most of the time, that does not mean that. You may not like your experience. You may not go back to that Foot Locker, but you're going to go to a Foot Locker, which means you're still supporting the business and you're still going to buy the shoe. And you may even tell that person, that was really rude, or you did A, B, and C. And again, I say that because we should not be, unless it was completely unsafe or that kind of thing, just one mistakers. As we talked about before, a couple of months ago when we were talking about minority mental health, are we allowed to make mistakes? And that's a culture thing that's embedded. Like you only get one time. And I'm like, nowhere in the world. That's not even a healthy adaptation to anything in the world, except for, like, again, safety. You got, one time to hit somebody or whatever. Like I get that, extreme safety things. But you had an attitude one day or you weren't in the best mood. My food didn't come out like I wanted it. And that's happened to me many times in plenty of places. But I understand that people have bad days, that businesses are not perfect, products are not perfect. People are always trying to learn. They want we want your reviews and say, okay, that didn't go well for me, so we can fix it and make it better. Because even your feedback that may not be positive at the moment is always positive, because it gives us as the business owners a chance to scale up, right? To level up what we're doing and make things better for all those that we're trying to serve, including you. We definitely, want return customers. And so I say that because I'm gonna stress that every week. Give people a chance to fix mistakes. And I say that because I had to learn that for myself. And I mean, food is important, right? Like we know that food's important. I don't like my food cold, and I asked you this a certain way, and you repeated it back to me. You still gave it to me wrong. And again, I know I used to work in fast food. Now I work in customer service. I mean, I'm a service person, clearly, work in healthcare. So I know how important it is to have a good interaction with people and to not put off my frustrations on somebody else. I mean, again, we don't know what that person's going through with that cashier or that manager, whoever. We don't know what they're going through. And so, yes, I'm, trying to get my food in a quality manner, but I also know how to speak and say, hey, excuse me, my fries are cold. Can I get some new ones? Or whatever. I don't just say, I'm never going to support you ever again. I'm never going to buy from you ever again. Again, unless it's an extreme danger issue. And again, even with that, you typically write corporate or you write the contact person, whoever that is, to say this was a huge problem for me, because that gives them a chance to correct it. So I know there's a lot of things that people that influences people to buy. There's also some things that influences people to keep the money in their pocket, which again is your interactions with people. Are you friendly? Are you personable? And I say that even when I came to college, was the college people, when I did the tour, were they nice? Those things matter, especially during this time, as a teacher or students or whatever, right? So we choose our time, we choose where our money goes, which is really valuable to a lot of, to most people. So I just say all of that to say, again, you all, it's National Black Owned Business Month. And I'm going to challenge you that if you could not list 5 Black owned businesses, period, or one that scales over $1 million, period, or you couldn't name 5 that you support, period, and you couldn't name ones in your city, that's going to be your challenge before the month of August is up. That you purposely look up, ask around, who's Black owned business, whether it's a hair care store. And I say that because even in our area, we had a Black owned business from one of my friends, Bonita Nelson, used to own a hair care. And I was really excited, like, yes, hair care, we can go, to someone who's Black owned and buy, wigs or whatever I wanted to buy for my hair. And one day I went up to, go to the store and saw that it was closed. When I reached out to my friend, one of the issues was, again, the support. Of course, you don't have enough customers, you cannot stay sustained, right? And so that broke my heart because, again, we know as a community we want more Black owned businesses. But when they come, do you support them? And again, as I said before, that was a question I had to ask myself. I had to say, I can't name 5 that I consistently support. I have my few, right? Like I know I'm gonna do this and get that at the times I need it, but like consistently, when I'm hungry, I go to the bigger main names that I know, right? The Taco Bells and the fast food places and Popeyes and Chick-fil-A and etc., right? The bigger corporations. But sometimes you got the mom and pop shops that are Black owned that you have to intentionally and purposely work to bring to your mind. Because if not, you'll keep supporting the bigger chain names and the smaller Black owned businesses are not getting the customer support that they need to sustain their business to stay in your community so that wealth can come and continue to increase in the um, Black community. So I say that to just, again, this is just a self reflective moment of, as I said, do you know? Do you know? Do you know the B.O.B? And B.O.B is just my acronym for Black owned business. Do you know the B.O.B? If you know them and they may not have your product, as we said before, referrals are a great way of support. Say, let somebody else know. And if you didn't have the greatest, experience, please give people a chance to correct that. Let people know I didn't have the greatest experience so that you don't turn other customers away without giving them a chance to fix what they've made a mistake on or issue with. So referrals, your own purchase, your own, of course, money coming into the product or whatever you're going to be buying from that person or that business, and telling people about it. Even just letting people know that there's a Black-owned business up here. There's there's a little food place over here. Or there's you know a clothing place. There's a shoe place, or whatever the services may be. And in my area, in the area of Terre Haute, there is a mental health private practice that's here, that's doing things that are personal to our culture, which is movement, expressive arts, embodied work, where we're not just sitting on the couch and talking. Now, I do traditional, but I also want people to know that I went above and beyond in education so that you can know that I want to bring quality services to you. And so, even if you feel like you don't need it and you know someone who does, we would love a referral. We would love for you to tell other people about In Time Creative Counseling Services. And that's not EN, like end over, but INTIME, which means right in time, right? Right when you need it, which is what our motto is, help in time of need. So we hope that today's live was a help for you in your time of need to be able to support, bring, again, that wealth into our communities even more, even greater. If you haven't, no time like today. Remember Michael Jackson song? I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Me. I'm making sure that I'm supporting Black-owned businesses, so I can encourage you to do the same. You guys have a blessed week, and hopefully we will see you next week for our final, not really final, but for the last week in August, where we will be talking about Black-owned businesses and supporting them. And I may have a special guest for you. You guys have a blessed week. Hope you enjoyed the live. Again, please like, share, so other people can also get this information. Tag the businesses that you know. The name, even if you don't know their name of the business, if you know their name, tag them so that they can know that we support them. And to all the Black-owned businesses, we love you and we want to definitely support you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for pushing through. Thank you for coming through all the naysayers and the negativity to still push out a great product. You're not told enough how great you are, how wonderful you are, but you are. You're constantly sacrificing your own time, your skills, your knowledge, so that somebody else can be blessed and get a need met. So thank you for doing that for us. And every Black business owner, keep on pushing because you are going to succeed. Have a great week, you all. Bye bye.